Yeah, welcome to the Racer X Exhaust Podcast, brought to you by Yoshimura. It's Jason Weigandt. Check out the Racer X Podcast Network. We've got quite a few things, including the Moto Marketing Show, the Main Event Moto Show. I feel bad that I don't have two M's in the title of this Exhaust Podcast. It's brought to you by Yoshimura, and breaking news. They now have the RS12 exhaust system for the 2021 Kawasaki KX250. We lament, yes, Kawasaki does not put the letter F on the end of KX250 any longer. It's been that way for a few years now, and what that means is they do not need to denote the KX250 as a four-stroke model because they are not going to make a two-stroke 250 ever again? Anytime soon? Sorry. Not sorry. That's just the facts. Also, facts are that the RS12 exhaust system will produce a 4.5% gain in horsepower and a 7.7% gain in torque. So the RS12 lays down the power where it needs to be, and that's good because Kawasaki's done a lot of work to this motor the last 2 years in a row, and pretty good to get even more gains from it from the Yosh system. So go to yoshimura-rd.com. Really looks cool on this bike. Have you noticed the Cowies, more so the 450, but they have these gigantic mufflers hanging off the back. Looks a lot better with the Yosh RS12. So check that out for your Kawasaki KX250F. Let's be honest, that's the first letter that came to mind when you heard they were no longer calling it the KX250F, thus denoting no more two-strokes anytime soon. And we're also brought to you by MX Tech Suspension, professional aftermarket suspension for riders who want excellent comfort and control. Who doesn't? Their quality engineering is based on a lifetime of specializing in dirt bike suspension. They've developed the Lucky Fork, which features dual springs, dual cartridges, Huck valves, and is ultra lightweight. MX Tech uses the latest technology and coatings to deliver maximum performance while remaining the lightest shock available. Head over to mx-tech.com for more information. Today's show, Aaron Plessinger. Yes, you probably completely forgot about Aaron Plessinger. He's entered the danger zone for someone's 450 career. They all come in when they have 250 titles with a ton of hype as rookies. They always do. Dylan Ferrandis, especially, I think Chase Sexton right now also coming in with a ton of hype. Maybe Shane McElrath, but especially Ferrandis. Probably unrealistic hype, unachievable levels that people expect. I literally hear people in this industry saying, oh, Ferrandis is about to take over the sport. But I've heard unrealistic claims for rookies over and over. To say that Dylan Ferrandis is going to come in and roll the likes of Eli Tomac and Cooper Webb, who've been there, done that. They're salty dogs. They know how the game is played. That's just, I think, an unrealistic standard to put on Ferrandis. Plus, now we have an asterisk because he broke his hand in a crash a couple weeks ago. I figure he'll be back at Houston for round one, but probably with less prep time than he wanted. Ferrandis is a great rider, but expecting a rookie to come in and just dominate. Look, you know what we heard last year going into Supercross? What's Kawasaki going to do if Cianciarulo starts beating Tomac? Wasn't a problem in Supercross. Tomac ended up being the champ, and Cianciarulo did what most rookies do, which is struggle to even do all 17 rounds. So we always have to slow our roll on rookies. So usually they have the somewhat disappointing year one based on those standards, and then you hope in year two that you really start to see it. And if it doesn't happen in year two, they become almost forgotten about going into year three. And that's where we are with Aaron Plessinger, who had the big hype after the 2018 season where he dominated the 250 class, winning Supercross and Motocross. And everybody's like, oh, he's tall. Once he gets on that 450, he's going to be even better. Again, height. There is no data that proves that height helps or hurts in the 450 class. We don't have any proof, Zach Osborne, that a short guy that's good in a 250 is worse when he gets on a 450, right? So Plessinger's rookie year didn't live up to the hype, got hurt. Last year, I mean, it was okay at times. I guess we could say it was okay at times. There were a few signs, but nothing spectacular. And then those last Salt Lake City rounds for both he and Justin Barcia, they were just bad for the Yamaha guys. Then Plessinger got hurt and didn't get to ride outdoors. But you'll hear about all that in this podcast. Point being, Plessinger, from the super hype at the end of 2018 to where we are now going into 2021, he's almost completely forgotten about. However, However, interestingly enough, most riders start to figure out 450 Supercross when? Going into year 3. Cooper Webb, the best ever example of that, but it's happened over and over. You know who else had a ton of hype going into his rookie year of Supercross and was horrible? Ricky Carmichael. Year 2, guess how he did? It's okay. It's okay. Lots of top 5s. Some podiums here and there. And he won Daytona. But it wasn't unbelievable. And then year 3, all of a sudden, Carmichael got like 300% better and beat Jeremy McGrath straight up and won 13 races in a row. The difference between Carmichael in year 1 and then year 2 and then year 3, off of the charts. James Stewart won the Supercross title in the Premier AMA class for the first time in his 3rd year. Ryan Villapoto won the title in his 3rd year. I'm not saying Plessinger is going to win the title. I'm just saying year 3 is often the best year, and that's where Plessinger is going, even though we've forgotten. And he's got more to talk about than just that, because he's switched teams without switching teams. He's stayed on Yamaha, but he's switched to Star Racing, the 49-rider team. I was very interested to see how the Star Racing 450 compares to the old factory Monster Energy Yamaha 450, and Plessinger can handle those questions as well. So now I'm just wasting time talking because it's better to just have him explain it. And we love it because Plessinger, he is the gold standard of, I'll just tell you whatever, man. I don't know what I'm supposed to say or not say. I just tell you. He's unfiltered. I don't even think he thinks twice. We have seen a lot of 250 riders come through with great personality, and then we expect when they get to the 450 class, they're going to be hilarious. And the 450 class, the pressure, the scrutiny, it just beats them down. Plessinger was our shining light that he would not let that happen. And I do not believe that has happened. I don't believe it will ever happen. Plessinger's gonna Plessinger all the time, so he answers these questions quite honestly. He also laughs a lot, like all the time. There was an interview on the RacerX website earlier this year. As a joke, we put in parentheses, laughs before every Plessinger answer, because he pretty much did laugh every time, but then we're like, it's 8 out of 10. Let's just make it all 10 answers with a laugh. So let's start this interview with some laughter. I can't believe I remembered something from like Thursday. That's awesome. Is it photo shoot day, bro?
It is photo shoot day. We are headed up to Yamaha to throw some whips and hopefully not get blown away by the wind.
Oh, is it bad right now?
There was a high wind advisory on my Weather Channel app, so I'm expecting it to be just a little hairy.
Okay, so you got to do jumps to the cameras, and it might be windy.
Yep.
How does that actually affect, okay, like out there, I mean, are there test track days where it literally makes a difference, like your over jumps and the wind actually matters?
Oh, yeah. There's some days that we can't even, we have to wait and see if the wind dies down, and if it doesn't die down, then you probably won't be able to ride. It's like there was the other night I woke up and I heard something fall upstairs, so I went upstairs and I opened the door, and my trees, it looked like they were at like 90-degree angles, just looked like a hurricane. But yeah, you wake up the next morning, it's all gone. Just
they didn't snap.
Nope. These palm trees are pretty sturdy.
Oh, okay. All right. I was gonna say there are not many trees out there. I didn't even know there were any. Man.
Yeah, we got three of them in our front yard.
Looking good. Yeah. So, are you a California guy all around? Like, I know. Did you buy a place in Florida? Are you gonna go back there, or how's that all? I'm hearing all this stuff about like Star might have a place in Florida. How's that all working? Or are you just California?
For right now, I am just California. I did have a place in Florida, and then when the team switched, I got the call to get out here, and I kind of just uprooted and moved all my stuff out here and bought a place out here. So for right now, I'm all the way out here, and then like if anything changes with the team and stuff, who knows? We might be back in Florida. I might be at the same place I was about 6 months ago. So,
Did you sell the house, or how does that work?
Yeah, I sold it. I was gonna keep it and rent it, but it was just too big of a hassle just to have somebody go and try and get in there and do all that stuff. So, and wouldn't have a property manager or anything like that. So I just ended up selling it, and I bought a camper. So if we need to go back, I'll live in that for a little bit.
I feel like you could handle that. I don't think you'd be bothered by that.
Oh no, yeah. Back in the Matt Walker days, that's all we did. We lived in the camper.
There you go. You're doing okay though. At least you got palm trees. Not struggling.
Oh yeah.
Nice. Okay, so you mentioned the team thing. So this is my biggest question. You're one of the few guys that's literally, you're not moving from one class to another. You're just staying on the same bike with a different team, but it's still Yamaha. So is it different or is it not different? How do you describe the differences?
Oh, I think it's pretty different.
Okay.
As far as like with the team and everything, Star, obviously I was with them for 5 years or almost 6 years, and then moved to factory Yamaha, and then it was kind of not a weird change, just different in a whole. And I feel like Star we were more of a family almost over there. And then when I went to factory Yamaha, it was pretty corporate, and we tried everything we tried everything we could with the bike, and it just, it didn't pan out the way we thought it would, and I think now I've only been on the bike like 3 weeks. This will be my 4th week on Supercross.
Mm-hmm.
So, or no, yeah, 4th week on Supercross. So, yeah, I'm already in love with the bike. We've only made minimal changes to it, and they've done a lot of testing with Ferrandis and then Malcolm, and I think Colt did some testing on it too on outdoors. So, in the bike sense, it's unreal. I think it's probably one of the best decisions that could have happened.
So it is different. Like when you first hopped on it, it wasn't like you were back on your old bike. Like even though it's a Yamaha 450, it's different.
Oh yeah, right away.
Wow.
It was pretty. They made some pretty significant changes, and you could feel it as soon as you hopped on the thing.
Now, was some of this based on stuff you or even Barsha were asking for last year, or they just have their own ideas already and it happens to work with what you wanted anyway?
I don't know if we really knew what we wanted.
Okay.
As far as the bike goes, like I think we were just in a state where we were trying everything and anything to make something work.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we were really confused in the whole testing department. But they just went and did. Star just went and did a lot of tested pretty much every part you could put on the bike, and they said to pick what worked. And I don't know if it was what we were aiming for last year or not, but they definitely got it dialed in.
Man, yeah, because look, last year you had some moments where it was coming along, but for both you and Justin, the Salt Lake City thing was not good. It seems like that bike was very sensitive. Soft tracks, rutted tracks, okay, but the hard pack stuff, those last couple races in Salt Lake City were not good, dude.
Oh yeah, no, it was definitely not our races for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I couldn't get through the whoops to save my life, and I mean neither could Justin. And the only really positive thing I took from that was just corner speed, pretty much, because that's the only place where I could make any time up on guys. And then when the track was really really hard, like it was in like the last round and the second round, and it was just a nightmare. I was getting beat to death out there, and yeah, I couldn't really do much.
Hey, so how much does that even affect your confidence? Because if it's a bike thing and everybody knows that you're struggling, I mean, do you just not even put it on you, or is it still like, nah, man, if you're not getting results, it still weighs on you? How do you leave that when it's
No,
not going your
yeah,
way?
it definitely weighs on you.
Okay.
It's hard for sure. It was a hard thing to kind of overcome, and still like push forward.
Yeah.
Especially getting hurt and stuff. It didn't help, and then just not getting the results you wanted, and I don't even know, like thinking you're gonna go out there and kill it, and then come back and it's 13th, 14th place, and you're not really pumped on it, and I don't know. Time after time, it kind of beats down on you, but yeah, it definitely messed with the confidence for sure, and it showed even when I got on this bike. I was still scared to go through the whoops, and I had to go and hit them about 35 times just to get some more confidence back. I'm not all the way back yet, but I'm damn close.
Okay. Wow. So that kind of thing, like months go by, but it's still in the back of your mind.
Oh yeah, it definitely is, because, like you said, it's the same bike, but almost everything on the bike is different. So yeah, it still weighs on you. It's still in the back of your mind. Like, I mean, I rode it for 2 years, and it was so unpredictable what it was going to do in the whoops or on braking bumps, and then this bike is a lot more predictable, and I can put it where I want it, and I just got to get used to doing that.
So your deal, did you have a 3-year deal with Yamaha the whole time, or was there like an option that allowed the third year to happen, or did you know the whole time, like even before 2019, that you were a Yamaha guy for 3 years, or did that change along the way?
So it was 3 years with an option of a fourth.
Oh, okay.
All the whole time, yeah.
Oh, okay. So who knows? You might even have 2 more years. 21. It could even go through 22, maybe.
I'm hoping.
Okay.
If it's going like it's going with these guys, that's what I'm hoping.
All right. So you got hurt getting ready for outdoors. Is that what happened?
Yeah. I got. I was testing actually, and doing one of my motos, feeling really good. One of the times I felt really good on the bike, and yeah, caught my foot going up the face of a jump, and just kind of swan dove into the landing of a jump. Just dislocated my wrist.
Because what I was getting at is, did you think, okay, maybe this time we'll have it? Like, did you think going into outdoors it was going to be good?
So yeah, I definitely did.
Yeah.
Like, the bike was kind of coming around, and that was like, I don't even know. That was the day that it felt the best, and
Right.
like I was feeling good. I was like keeping up with all the guys and actually beating most of them, and then like, yeah, it was a really, really frustrating injury, to say the least, because I was feeling great. I was feeling like I could go out there and actually be up front and duke it out with those guys, but it happens, I guess.
Yeah, I know. It's like when it rains, it pours, right? When things are
Yeah.
going your way, you can't even stop it from going your way, and then vice versa. Yeah.
Yep.
So how long were you off, and how long you been riding, and how bad was the injury in the end?
So yeah, I ended up dislocating my wrist, breaking my scaphoid, and then breaking it's a bone called the triquetrum. It's pretty much the opposite side of where your scaphoid is in your wrist, and then I broke the tip off of my ulna. And I knew it was pretty bad when I went into the doctor's office, and when they were about to set it, one of the nurses ran in and she was like, "Oh my gosh, can I please help you set this?" And she was talking to the doctor, and she looks at me and she goes, "I've been working here 12 years and I've only seen 2 of these kind of injuries."
Oh.
I was like, "Oh, well, that's some great news."
But she was excited about this.
Oh yeah, she was pumped. She was ready to go. She wanted to help out. But yeah, they got it set and everything, and then yeah, they told me it was a really, really bad wrist injury, and when I came out of surgery, the doctor, he told me, he was like, "Yeah, you probably only get about 70% of movement back into your wrist by the way you broke it." But yeah, so which kind of almost was a challenge to me. It was like, well, let's see how far we can get it then. So yeah, he told me it was probably going to be 4 to 6 months out, not on the bike or doing anything, and yeah, it was total time off the bike was, I think, 3.5 months.
Okay.
So I pretty much did every single thing you could possibly do to try to get this thing to heal. I was in a hard cast, like a basic hard cast, for 3 weeks, and then he put me into a waterproof hard cast for another 3 or 4 weeks, and then I had this kind of splint deal that you could take on and off. But meanwhile, I still had a pin sticking through and holding the dislocation and that triquetrum bone in place. So I couldn't really move it that whole time. And I can't remember. I went back and I went to see him one of the days, and he was like, "Yeah, we'll try to get that pin out in the next 2 weeks." And then I went back in 2 weeks, and and he looked at the X-ray and was like, "Yeah, we'll just see you back in a month."
Oh.
And didn't end up taking the pin out. So I was like, "Dude, are you kidding me?" And then yeah, I actually went back. It started hurting me, so I went back. I called in. I went back in like 2 weeks before I was supposed to, and he took X-rays and was like, "Yeah, all right. So you ready to get that pin out or what?" And I was like, "Yeah, dude. Like I'm waiting." So it was a pretty confusing process, and then it was like 2 weeks after I had got the pin out. He saw me back, and we got a CAT scan, and he said everything was good to go. And now I started riding outdoors, and I rode outdoors for about 2 weeks, and then started on Supercross.
How's that 70% movement? Are you beating that?
Oh yeah. I forgot to mention, when I went back after the 2 weeks that he pulled the pin out, what'd he say? He said, "Holy crap, what have you been doing, dude?" He was like 10 more percent, you're at 100%.
Wow.
And I was like, yeah, I literally, every time I got in my truck, I would sit on it, crank on it one way, turn it around, crank on it the other way. And then my dad, he had a similar kind of injury. So he told me to take pantyhose and get like a 10-pound weight, put it all the way at the bottom of the pantyhose, and then just lift up and let the weight pull down on your wrist. So that's what I did, and it was not by any means fun. It was really, really, really painful. So yeah, he was pretty impressed with how far I'd gotten it.
That's some real high tech stuff that you're doing there to fix that thing.
Oh yeah, it was. I was impressed with myself how good it came around.
Cranking on with the truck, and then your dad's like old school weights in a pantyhose. Like, no, some things never change. I guess there's no new technology here. Just crank on the thing.
Just crank it. That's the only way you're gonna get it done.
Bingo bango. Let's interrupt Aaron Plessinger with conversation with him. To mention Yoshimura, go to yoshimura-rd.com. Check out the RS12 exhaust system. Got one for both the Kawasaki 250 and 450 now. And as I mentioned on last week's show, also a great line of exhaust systems for a lot of the very popular pit bikes and trail bikes, like those new Honda pit bikes that came out last year, the 125, the 110, the venerable Kawasaki KLX 110. Check those out too. If you got one of those, makes them run a lot better, look a lot cooler, and sound better as well. And also, MX Tech suspension. You got the Lucky Fork, dual springs, dual cartridges, Huck valves, lightweight, yet has all the components in both fork legs, so they work very well. Go to mx-tech.com for more information. Back to AP.
So it sounds to me like your riding now is like you're not, you can't give me like the, dude, I feel so good, I'm so much faster at the track. It sounds like you're rebuilding yourself a little bit here. Is that safe to say?
Yeah, for sure. It's been a process, to say the least. I don't know. Like I pretty much lost a lot of my confidence, and how I was riding before. I knew that's not the way I wanted to ride, and I was even talking to my buddy the other day. He was watching this video that I sent to him, and he was like, dude, I can even tell in your style that you're riding so much different. And you're riding so much with more confidence than I've seen in years. And that's kind of what my goal was, to get back to where at least I was riding as good as I was in 2018. You know, that was kind of the peak moments, and I'm starting to get there. I'm starting to get loose and feeling really good again. So I think I'm on my way. It just going to take a little more time. I think I'm really close, but it's just not an overnight process, I guess.
I think there's some guys, like you missed a lot of races. There was so much hype coming out of the 250 class, and then these 2 years they had the big injury, 2 years in a row, really. And then some guys would be like, "Oh, people forgot about me." I'm more motivated and fired up on that to prove everybody that I'm still here. I don't know if you operate that way. Do you think about that stuff, or you're just doing your own deal?
Yeah. I mean, you definitely think about it, but that's not my main goal. You know, like my main goal is to get me back to where I want to be before I worry about anything else, you know? And I think if I get back to where I want to be, my results will show those guys what I'm about and what they forgot about.
Yeah. Well, you just look at the other guys in there. Let's say like AC or Osborne, guys like that, like those, you've all had your ups and downs, but you've been in that group the whole time. So they're up right now because they were really good outdoors. But you look at that and say like, well, I used to battle those guys.
Yeah, I do. Like I didn't really watch that much of the outdoor series just because of that reason.
Oh, really?
I watched and I was pumped for those guys, like really, really pumped for those guys. But you know, it wore on me, and it was kind of frustrating watching those guys get the results and then me sitting on the couch. Yeah. So I was just like, come on, man.
Exactly. I figured that. I mean, you and Adam, you guys have raced each other like your whole life. So you know what it's all about. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Hey, one other thing I want to ask you about having Malcolm as a teammate. I feel like you guys always got along pretty well. You weren't teammates, but I don't know, we saw some dances on the track and stuff like that. So that's got to be cool. Has it been pretty fun working together?
Oh yeah, Malcolm's awesome.
Yep.
Me and him, we get along really, really good. Ever since we raced each other, we had a few heated moments there for a little bit, but who doesn't when you're racing for a championship? But nah, I look up to Malcolm still. He's an awesome rider, and the skill he has in some places is 5-star, you know.
Yeah.
And look who his brother is, for real. Like, you know, I feel like he can teach me a lot, and maybe, who knows, he can learn a little bit from me. But I love having him as a teammate. He keeps the morale high, and the pace even higher.
Yeah, there you go. Dude, is it full on like what are these motos like? We keep joking that Star has 49 riders. What are these days like when the track is packed?
Dude, it's a supercross. It literally is like a supercross. It is crazy in so many ways, because it's like 5 250s and then 3 450s, and like, even though Dylan doesn't ride with us, like as far as motos go, he's still out there riding, and it's like, I was watching it when I was riding outdoors. I was looking in, and I was like, wow, this is actually crazy.
Does it help actually, like, give I'm sure it beats the track up more, like a real race? Does it feel more like a real race? Is this good, like, simulation of the real thing?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, when you got 10 guys out there duking it out to get to the front, and we usually start slowest to fastest, so everybody gets in there and battles at one point.
Like, real passing has to happen.
Oh yeah, real passing. There's been a few moments out there for sure.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So you guys load up, tear offs, in the whole nine, whatever it takes, like a real race.
Oh yeah, we the only thing we don't do is a full gate drop, but I bet if we had a full 10 gates, you can bet we'd be doing a full gate drop.
Right. And this is the same old Yamaha track. That part hasn't changed.
Yep. Nope. We're still up here on the top of the hill.
What about the familiar faces? Like, is it just cool to be back with us? I guess you said that before. It's like a family, but I would assume most of Star is still the same people. I mean, you're only gone 2 years.
Yeah. I mean, the only thing that's really changed is new mechanics.
Okay.
It's amazing to be back and just to talk to the guys and get to work with the guys again, and have some old teammates, you know, Justin Cooper and Dylan and Colt and everybody. Like, I didn't really know how much I missed it until I got back. So it's amazing. I love it.
So when you first started hearing this might happen, were you like, we'll see how it goes? Or were you immediately like, oh, that'd be awesome?
Yeah, I wasn't like too, I don't know. I was going to wait and see,
Okay.
You know, I was going to wait and see. I didn't want to get my hopes up, but I knew if it happened, it was going to be unreal, and it was going to be really, really good. So I didn't really get my hopes up, but when they said, you know, we're taking over, I was like, all right, let's do it.
You're pumped.
Let's go.
Yeah. Oh, so you just got to be excited. Like, I know the season's still about a month or a little more than a month away, but this is like a big breath of fresh air. You're healed up, bike's different, back in your old team. This is like a nice reset, sounds like.
Yeah, definitely. I was talking to somebody the other day, and they said that, and I was like, that's the perfect analogy for it. It's a big reset, and probably one of the one of the best resets I'll probably ever get. And I think this year is going to be one hell of a year. I think this is going to be like my rookie year should have been.
There you go. I just remember, dude, Anaheim won of your rookie year. You were the most. I don't remember what you got. You got like 5th or 7th or something, but you were so pumped. You were so pumped.
Oh yeah, dude. Because I was. It's a 450 class. Like,
yeah.
There's 20 guys on there that potentially could win and are Supercross champions. So yeah, when I was battling with those guys, I was still really, really starstruck at the moment that, or in the moment that I was racing those guys and actually on the track with them. So, that kind of played a part in it, but dude, that was a season high. And then my best finish was 5th in Atlanta. So, yeah, that was a pretty cool moment.
Yeah, it was coming together, and then it fell apart, unfortunately. So
yeah, quickly fell apart.
yeah, Daytona. But that's what you're trying to get back to. Yeah.
Yep.
Well, awesome. That is cool. It's good to hear. I do feel like when everyone goes through the list of contenders, Plessinger is going to be back and healthy and good. Like, dude, it does get crazy. So that's good to know that you're planning on coming in, with a head of steam and ready to play.
Oh yeah, I'm gonna be up there. Better look for the number 7. I'm gonna make the number 7 look like the old number 7.
Oh snap! I like it. There we go. All right,
it's gonna be a good time.
That's right. Well, like I said, you and Malcolm, I remember you went back. Dude, honestly, I had said this. I'm like, they just need to sign you for the gear, but I guess you have deals. I was like, they just need to put 7 and 7 and be good.
Dude, for real.
Yeah. All right, man. Well, good. I'm glad to hear you're in a good spot and ready to get some revenge out there.
Oh yeah. Well, it was good talking to you, Jason. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Yep. All right. Is this boot camp time? Is that why you said you're super busy? By the way.
Yeah. Pretty much. Like I've been gone from the house. Like it's like almost 8, usually 8 to 5.
It's just
I have a break for lunch, and then that's pretty much it. It's like a normal job right now. It's pretty deep into boot camp.
And then are you dead like 6 p.m. at night when you're in your house? Are you pretty much feeling it?
Oh yeah. It's like I'm like barely talking. Like Kendall's asking me like, okay, and I'm like falling asleep in my dinner.
Oh, dude. Yeah, the kids do not know. You're tired. They have no sense of that. They're going for it.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely.
Oh, dude.
All right. Good luck with it, man. That's awesome to hear you're back. Going strong.
Well, I appreciate it. Thank you.
Cool.
Yeah, it was good talking to you.
Yeah, man. Yep. See you in a month.
And there is a very busy and a very tired, but still laughing, Aaron Plessinger. How can you not love that guy? And it would be awesome to get him in there 2 ways because, A, he's a great personality, great to have him up front. It'd be really refreshing to get to see AC on the podium and things like that again. Did I say AC? AP on the podium again. But also, as always, no matter who it is, the sport's always better when there's more good riders battling and running up front, right? So that's what we want. Hopefully, when we get to Houston, he'll be there and he'll be ready. And same thing with Mookie Fever, and Ferrandis. This Star Racing 450 team could be really good. There's a ton of news that has broken lately on Supercross, the schedule. They've now got all 17 races announced. Glendale is out. They're now racing in Orlando and Atlanta Motor Speedway. That's going to be interesting. And we have races in Florida and Georgia that are going to count as part of the West Championship because they literally don't really have enough races in the West for Western races to happen. All the races, for the most part, are in the East. So they just got to split them up between East and West to have 2 different championships because that's what all the riders and teams are contracted to do, and they need to have 2 separate championships. So, yes, they have to race in Orlando and Atlanta as part of the West Championship. They'd actually changed it at one point to try to make it a little more, make a little more sense geographically, but by doing that, they were telling the Western teams that thought they were going to start on February 20th that, now you have to race Houston on January 16th. And for some of the teams that race West only, they were like, you just moved our whole season up 5 weeks, and you're giving us 1 month now to prepare for that change. we can't be ready. So then they flipped it back. So now East will start with Houston. It probably would have made more sense to have Houston be West rounds instead of Atlanta, but then they'd be changing the dates that the West teams were already working by, which is that they won't have to start until February. So now the January races are back to East. February, yes, Orlando starts West. Daytona Supercross will be a West race. I know it looks crazy when you see it on paper, but it actually makes sense, okay? It actually makes sense because they don't have any races in the West, so they're going to have races geographically in the East to count for the West. So there it is. That's our show. Brought to you by Yoshimura and MX Tech Suspension. And, of course, subscribe and all that stuff over at racerxonline.com/weege. Still time to get your calendar. I don't know if you'll have it in the mail by January 1st by now. It'll be close, but we'll hook you up with a calendar, a Rocky Mountain ATVMC gift card, and, of course, 12 issues of the magazine. And you can read all the magazine stories now online, but only if you pay for your subscription. Just call it premium content or a paywall. Or maybe we'll call it RacerX Plus. That seems to be the cool term that everybody's using when you get extra cool stuff that you got to pay a little bit for. It's only $30 for the year, okay? So that's like a little over $2 a month. It's cheap. Do it. All right, that's it for our show. We'll see you next week. Thanks.